7 of Karlene's Anime Corner, a St. Johns County Public Library podcast. And I'm very happy to have here with me Zoe, my regular co-host.
Hello.
And in addition, I have Mr. Keith from the library.
Hello.
Yes, our acquisitions librarian is back again to talk about more anime and manga stuff. While I have you both here before we dive into our anime today, have you guys been doing anything fun or nerdy you'd like to share?
I decided to torture myself by doing a Pokemon badge quest where you can't. It's a thing where you can't challenge the first gym unless you have at least one shiny Pokemon. You have to catch a shiny Pokemon before every badge.
So you've been Pokemoning some more.
Yeah, and it hurts my eyes. It hurts my eyes. Oh, and I'm also going to Orlando MegaCon.
Oh, nice. I've been there a few times.
Next weekend with my friend.
Yay! Have fun
MegaCon
with that.
is awesome. Yeah, I've been a few times.
I've only been to small local cons.
I'm going to meet Karlene Goff.
Who's that?
He did the voice for the main villain in JoJo Part 5.
Okay.
And he did the voice for, I think he did Overhaul in My Hero.
Okay.
In the English version. He did Rockstar Freddy from Security Breach.
Okay, MegaCon always has a really good selection of voice
actors. And he voiced a talking blob of sludge in JoJo Part 4. And he did really good. In all of those roles, he did different voices, but they're all really, really good. So I'm excited to meet him.
Every voice actor panel I wind up going to, it winds up being somebody that I've never actually seen the anime that they've done. So that's always very interesting.
I'm just putting it out there. Karlene Goff is the main reason I watched JoJo Part 5 dubbed.
Just for him.
Just because of his performance. He's incredible.
He's that good.
He is that good.
I need to watch JoJo. I've been meaning to for a while.
Don't get her started on JoJo.
I will sit you down in my living room and we will watch the entire thing if you let me.
In one go.
Mr. Keith, have you been doing anything? Last time we talked, you were reading some manga. Are you still working down your manga
I'm still continuing on the 2 manga I've been reading. I read volume 2 of Keep Your Hands Off Aizuken, which I talked about
still holding up?
Still as funny as ever, and in the complete opposite direction, I am working my way through Berserk.
Which is a very mature title.
Yes. Those are 2 very different ends of the spectrum.
Very, very dark, and it just got even darker. So
yeah, that's the one I've been having to get through interlibrary loan for you.
That's definitely
that's
adult
the thing
only.
with Berserk, isn't it? You just don't expect it to get better.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
It never does.
Very grim and
it
very
never
mature.
will.
Funny. I have been watching my. I'm a terrible person. I really am. I just binged watching 3 days an anime about a guy who goes to a fantasy world and has the power of online grocery store.
What?
So he cooks meals for him and his overly powered Fenrir companion. That is literally the entire plot.
These isekai ideas are getting out of control.
Yes, but I am oddly, I'm sitting there and I'm making notes of what he's cooking because it's like, I want to try that.
Okay, prediction for the future. Once we're gonna hit a turning point where all isekai anime is just gonna be randomly AI generated, and nothing's going to change. Yeah. Nothing is going to change.
No, and I hate to say it, that there really is. There's no plot. There's not a whole ton of character growth. This guy's just wandering around cooking. So I'm just okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make a story about that, okay.
Yeah, but definitely not for vegetarians though, because his Fenrir companion is we're eating meat.
Carnivore.
Nothing but meat.
This is discrimination.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes there's cabbage on the side, but that's as far as close as we get to vegetarian.
Why cabbage of all vegetables?
There are 4 goddesses, and all they want from him is if they go ahead and give them sweets, they'll bless him so he doesn't die as easily.
That is disgusting. That is disgusting.
There is no real plot to this thing, trust me.
It's just it's just become like a monster of the week type thing where a new thing happens and then nothing changes.
No, not even a monster of the week. It's the recipe of the week.
Even better.
It's just fucking Gordon Ramsay, but it's anime.
You, there is nothing redeeming about this anime, and I have no idea why I spent 3 days watching it.
The Great British Baking Show, but Japanese.
Japanese edition.
No, the Great British Baking Show has more stakes than this anime.
Okay, can we talk Trigun now?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me announce, we are talking about Trigun, as Zoe just said, and we have watched the first 13 episodes of the original show from 1998, and this show was based on, based on the manga series by Yasuhiro Naitao, And I have never actually read the manga, but I'm thinking the more I watch the show, I really need to go back and read the manga for Trigun because I want to know how much they managed to put in the anime and how much they didn't.
They did actually take out one part. I did read a little bit of the manga through, but I did read a little bit, and I noticed there's a really cool tiny detail in the manga that I wish they kept in the anime. But like, well, we'll bring it up a little later because you said we're gonna do a 2-parter.
Yes. Are you okay with that, Mr. Keith?
Yeah, first half, second half of the show.
Okay.
Because the way this show is the first half.
It's very much split into 2 parts.
The first half is very tonally different from the second half.
Yeah. So today, as we mentioned, we're only going to be discussing episodes 1 through 13, and we'll do 14 through 26 next month.
Okay.
And maybe touch on the new Trigun series that just came out.
Maybe
Trigun
a little bit
Stampede.
of that as a bonus.
Yeah, as a bonus, we'll watch a couple episodes of
First
that.
few episodes.
See what it's like. Real quick summary of Trigun. Can I do this off the top of my head? Because I forgot my...
Early Clint Eastwood movie, but it's on Tatooine.
Right. Space Western. Classic Space Western.
All right. I'm sorry. You killed me. That that actually does work pretty well.
It's an early Clint Eastwood movie, but it's based on Tatooine.
Trigun is set on a world that is, as far as we can tell, nothing but deserts. And in order for towns to survive, they have these giant plants. And apparently everybody runs around with a ton of guns shooting at each other.
Like power plants, not actual plants.
Yeah,
power
plants.
And
they look like giant light bulbs,
yeah.
which I find
bulbs,
fascinating.
yeah,
these weird, crazy light bulbs. And instead of horses, they have these cool, two-legged looking furry animals. They're like the ostrich horses from Avatar.
They call them Thomases?
They're called Thomases, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And fun fact, that big like white shield thing on their head, that's not their face. They have a tiny little face at the end of it.
Okay.
It's like a cross between an anteater, an ostrich, and a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
as you can tell, this is definitely an alien world that humans are on, and humans most likely were not meant to be on because they don't seem to be doing great.
It's a
No,
very
they're
hostile
not.
environment.
And you can tell
hostile.
it's also just not Earth because a lot of like the town names
there's
and
also,
like the measurement system and stuff.
3 suns?
There's two
like
suns
Tatooine,
and like
yeah.
5 moons, I think.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I was trying to remember, and at one point I thought there were 3 suns, but it might have been 2 suns and a moon or
Yeah,
something.
there's 2 suns and 5 moons.
Okay.
And what's it? Yeah, one minor
well-
thing is how all the towns are named after like months of the year and
Yeah,
stuff.
May,
It's really-
July,
yeah,
December.
July. Yep.
Yeah.
All the big towns, cities,
Augusta.
at least. And Vash the Stampede is an outlaw with a $60 billion bounty on his head.
A $60 billion double dollar.
Double
Sorry, billion
dollar,
dollar,
yeah.
double
It's a
dollar.
double dollar.
Just like it's an aisle instead of a mile.
and yars instead of
The
yards.
Yeah, you gotta love some of the shorthand on this one. And Meryl Streep and Millie Thompson.
Meryl Streep and Millie Thompson
are sent out by the Bertadelli Insurance Agency to make sure that Vash the Stampede, the humanoid typhoon, does not cause any more property destruction.
Yes, they're there to step in.
Because
if
one thing
things
that
look-
Vash Stampede is known for doing is leveling cities.
Yes,
Yes.
wherever he goes.
So that is our setup at the beginning of this series, and as we watch the series, we follow the travels of Vash the Stampede and Millie and
poor Meryl.
And poor Meryl.
Yeah, just so...
Meryl, she's just on the end of her last nerve every single episode.
pretty much. What rating out of 5 stars would you guys give this show? Just on the first half of the show.
I'm liking it more and more as it goes, which I think is intentional. It starts off and it's pretty silly. It's sillier than you think. Like you see the setting and the atmosphere and the character designs, and you're like, oh, this is a cool.
And I should mention that Vash he doesn't really act like an outlaw. He's kind of an idiot.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the biggest idiots in anime canon I've ever met.
Yes, but when you first see him, he's got these guns, this like really cool coat, the glasses. You're like,
The
oh man,
crazy spiked hair.
Yeah, you're like, this guy
Yeah.
is a cool, like stone cold outlaw. And then within 5 minutes, he's like whimpering and crying, and you're like,
It's like- And he dramatically points his gun at a group of outlaws, and then he he's like, oh, I'm out of ammo.
wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
And he's also known for just running around eating donuts.
Yes.
and screaming and crying and complaining and
But
losing his
even
mind.
Yeah, and at
Despite
first it's
that.
like, okay, this is pretty goofy, but it's kind of almost a comedy. But then with each passing episode, and as we talked about, as the second half seems to get darker, but even before that, when you get to episodes 10, 11, 12, you're seeing like hidden depths to Vash that maybe this goofy like persona is almost a facade.
Yeah.
Like it's there to mask something else.
Yeah.
And there's even like hints, like small minor hints that this show is not as goofy and family friendly as it seems.
Absolutely.
Like in the first episode, when Meryl and Millie get caught by this big crazy bandit guy with a metal arm and a no, but there's a scene where they get captured and it looks really scary.
This show does touch on some very adult topics. Like it's rated PG-13, but I think occasionally it flirts very strongly with that 16.
With some of the
that
villains,
16 line with some of the villains,
the intensity,
and the intensity, and some of the language. I was a little bit surprised at some of the swear words that showed up.
Yeah,
I was like, but I will warn you, I was a little surprised when I started watching the first episode in English, and I went, let me switch to the Japanese. I was like, nope, it's in the subtitles too.
It's there
okay.
too. Yep.
But yeah, this, as I said, this is rated PG-13, but it strongly flirts, I think, with that TV 16
it does.
line.
There's threats.
And
of
even
mature content.
this is a little bit further on, but there are also there are a lot of really tiny hints that Vash isn't always like what you think he is a lot of the times. Like there's we meet a character named.
We're starting to rabbit trail into our discussion.
I'm so sorry.
So let's go back to our 5-star rating.
Okay, I would say right now 4, but growing. It could be like 4.5.
But it could grow higher.
It's getting better and better as kind of it moves. You know, it's still got plenty of comedy.
So your rating, you're saying, might change when we get to the
I don't mind.
second.
I don't mind the comical aspects. Like I like that there's some silly humor, and I don't want it to be grim, but I like that it's heading more of like towards a balance between the humor and kind of some serious stuff about Vash and Wolfwood. And
we should talk about Wolfwood.
Yeah,
we will definitely talk about Wolfwood.
Because where we are at the halfway point, he's only been in I think 3 episodes.
Yeah, 3 episodes.
But he definitely
has
makes a
definitely
good
made
first
an impression. Yeah.
Oh, he has made a massive impression. My
All right.
God.
So Zoe, what's your rating?
As someone who accidentally watched the entire series when I didn't know we were just gonna cut it in half, I'm going to give the first 13 episodes a solid 3.
Solid 3.
Because as much as I love the world, the animation, the characters, that 90s humor, it doesn't always click for me. It's a little obnoxious.
Yeah, see, and you're kind of talking to the 90s kids here,
But
so we're
I'm
used
so
to that.
sorry.
Now.
I know you're used
I
to
look
it.
back on some of it, and it's a little goofy. 90s anime humor.
There were times where I did fast forward through a dumb joke.
Really?
I was like, ugh.
What, you didn't like his weird dance as he's walking into the...
Okay, I like that. I liked that.
That was a meme for so long on the internet.
I liked that, but I didn't like it when he got tackled by the drunk guy in like episode 2.
Okay.
I skipped that. I thought that was obnoxious.
A little, and
Yeah.
It was a little over the top.
Okay. And I am going to give at least the first 13 episodes a 4.5 stars. I have to admit, a full half star of that is just because of the little cat.
reoccurring.
Yeah,
cat.
there's a random reoccurring cat.
And I just love the fact that we get to play Spot the Cat in every episode.
Yeah, like where's Waldo?
Yeah.
It's just Where's Waldo with this weird cat that is a completely different art style compared to everything around it.
Yep, and he just shows up in every episode for no good reason.
He's just there.
Just there. So now that I finally gotten star ratings out of you guys,
Sorry.
let's go into full spoiler mode. We can talk about whatever we want. Just try not to go beyond episode 13.
Okay.
Save that for next time.
I'll try my best. You might have to fact check me on a few things I'm saying to make
episodes.
sure I don't spoil anything on accident. Because I will be honest, the second half is what's mostly fresh in my mind.
If I give you a cross-eyed look, it's because I don't remember that.
Okay.
So
I mean, are you sure your memory is a good...
since I just spent the last week watching the first 13 episodes, I think we're pretty good.
Okay.
The second half I haven't seen for over a decade.
That's true.
Me too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
For me,
Okay,
it's
so
been
if
over
you don't
10
remember
years.
something, that's okay. I'll take your word for it.
I think I watched Trigun was one of the first 5 series I watched all the way through, so I think I probably watched it in 2006.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
when
because I
That's
remember
the year after I was born.
Yeah.
my first exposure to it, because it came out in Japan in the late 90s, but
it came out in 98.
But it didn't come out on DVD here for a few years after that.
Well, and it
right?
didn't air on Adult Swim until 2003. I looked it up because I was curious. It got syndicated in 2003 for Adult Swim.
Okay, and I think it was out on DVD maybe a few years before that. Usually...
Was it? Because I would think that normally it would get syndicated before the DVD
I think it was
release.
like 01 or 02, not long before.
Okay.
But I remember, being online and being in like anime circles online, and I would see these pictures of Vash, with his gun, And the
It is-
sunglasses.
It
and
is
I'm
a
like-
very iconic look.
It
Yeah,
is
and
a
I'm like,
very,
this guy
very
must be the
iconic look.
coolest anime character. And I remember I was like,
See, and I remember seeing pictures of Ash, and they always have him doing the weird, crazy dance.
Okay,
so
yeah.
it did.
and, yeah, and when
It's just him flailing like an electrocuted
Yeah.
cricket.
seeing those as a kid, and then watching the first episode, I probably downloaded some bootleg version of it. It was like, and seeing him do all his goofy stuff, I was like, what the
You
heck?
guys watched this on Hulu?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
and
I
it's
did.
also available
Yeah.
on Crunchyroll.
With
but
commercials, unfortunately.
Yes,
yeah,
me too,
well, it's
yeah.
also available on Crunchyroll. But I had the exciting opportunity. A coworker years ago gave me a bunch of her anime because she didn't want it anymore, and it included a box set of the Pioneer DVD release of Trigun.
Ooh.
So I was busting that out, and I was watching those really old DVDs projected up on my wall.
Nice.
Let me
Wow.
tell you, surprisingly holds up really well.
Yeah, 'cause-
The animation in this show is at times really, really amazing, and other
Yeah.
times slideshow. But it looks great. I love it. It's
You,
like
you can tell when an episode's kind of important, though, because they do tend to spend a little bit more time on it. And that's the same with that first episode, because that was probably the one they were trying to catch everybody's attention with.
Yeah,
so
the
they probably
animation
put a
is-
little extra oomph into
it's
that.
just like it goes from like 15 frames per second in some shots to like 60 frames per
Mhm.
second. Like
super smooth.
the hand
Yeah.
drawn looks incredible. It
Yeah.
really reminds me of Cowboy Bebop a lot.
Because this was before they started trying out all the CGI stuff. And
Yeah,
everything.
it was still pretty
It
much
was
all
still pretty much all
hand-drawn.
hand
It was all
Yeah.
hand drawn, and it looks really, really good.
Yeah, and it holds up really well.
And it kind of complements the whole like nitty gritty style of like the world they're in. Because as goofy as the show is, the environment and like the
This
world,
this
it's
is
really
not a happy world.
no,
No,
it's not.
no, it's
No one's
grim.
happy.
Even the people who live in like luxury and wealth, it still somehow feels like they're miserable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's all dry. It's bland. There's nothing
no
around. Everything's all
entertainment, yeah.
desolate.
Yeah.
There's like every town has a packed bar.
Yeah, that's all there is to do. You're either
I-
in the saloon or at home.
I love
Yeah.
Wolfwood's comment about the dancing girl in the one saloon he's in. He's like, oh, someone needs to pay for her dance lessons.
Yep, yep, I
But the
remember that.
entertainment is so bad, they're willing to have her get up there and dance.
Right, just some random girl,
It's
yeah.
just
So,
And like, let's talk about Wolfwood, please. I love
well,
Wolfwood.
hang on.
Okay.
Let's start with so we've talked a little bit about the planet that they're on and the fact that it's this whole desert planet and so on, and how that falls into things. But let's go ahead and talk about the characters kind of as we meet them a little bit. So the first three characters we meet that are really important are Vash the Stampede and the two insurance girls.
Yes.
Which I love the fact that Vash just keeps calling them the insurance
The
girls.
insurance
I'm pretty
girls.
sure he
It-
only calls Meryl by name once in the entire show.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
It's
only
like
calls Millie one
I
name.
don't think he wants to actually acknowledge he has friends because then he has to be worried about the fact of what if they die.
Yeah,
That's
because
true,
that
yeah.
thing
Because
about
he brings
how-
chaos everywhere he goes.
and that's gonna come in later, and that's not gonna be horrifying.
And where we are now, he never goes with them. He goes
no,
on his
he
own
he
path,
keeps he
and
actually
they
actively
follow
for a
him.
while he tries to get away from them,
Yeah,
and they
they're
still keep
always following
following.
him.
Because it's
Yeah.
their job, and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
just Meryl is just fed up with this guy. I'm pretty sure Meryl doesn't want to follow him in
So-
the beginning.
Vash the Stampede we've talked about quite a bit with his iconic
Yes.
look and everything. Meryl and Millie both have very distinct looks, which I love.
I love
because
not only just their looks, but their weaponry too.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my!
so Meryl wears like this cape outfit.
It's like a full cape.
Like a cloak.
Yeah,
kinda.
cloak
almost.
almost.
It's like
These,
a
like,
short cloak.
Yeah.
With these like dangly gold earrings and a
Mhm.
short haircut. She looks really kind of proper.
She
I
looks
guess.
very professional
Yes.
in many ways, despite wearing more of a
She looks-
sci-fi fantasy.
She
type
looks more
clothes.
like an assassin than an insurance person.
Well, and I love it where occasionally when things go really, really bad, she suddenly whips out her cape and it fans out, and you see this just row of guns,
Guns,
all
yeah,
up in,
right,
on
like
She's
her
got like
cape.
5 racks of guns.
Little Derringer guns.
I think they're only
inside her
one
cape.
bullet each,
Yeah,
but she's
because
got a
Derringers
bunch
are
of them.
one-shot guns.
Yeah,
And then Millie has this giant Gatling.
Gatling.
Well, actually, it doesn't actually shoot
it's like a
bullets
stun
though.
gun,
It's
It
a
kind of.
shoots
stun
like
gun.
it
It's-
shoots like claws that like trap you against the
Yeah,
wall.
it's like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
big metal bars that shoot out and just kind of
And just
bang
kinda knock
into
The
you.
you out.
gun is
Yeah.
like half the size of her entire body, and she's
Yeah.
just carrying it
Well,
around
I
like
like
it's nothing.
I like the fact that everybody, when we first meet them, they're walking into a bar and they're literally ordering like these fancy French pastries.
Uh-huh.
and like
and-
ice cream sundaes. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and the people in the bar start making fun of them, and then this giant gun drops
Just
out of
walk-
Millie's
thunk.
coat,
Yeah.
and they all just kind of stare
Like,
at it, and it's
"Oh."
like, okay.
And Millie's like, "Oopsie, sorry."
The strap broke.
The strap broke again. And I was like, "You got to get better straps for that thing." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And the guy's just like, "Huh?"
But I
No.
love their like contrasting personalities. You
Well,
know,
and I
they're-
like the fact Millie, when she takes off, she has kind of a draped coat.
Mhm.
When she takes it off, she's actually wearing like very brown work pants and suspenders. Like,
Yeah.
she
Like,
has a very
She dresses like a miner, kind of.
yeah, and it's kind of cool because you get the feeling that she's come from a very different background than Meryl,
Mhm.
which you do find out she's the youngest of 10 kids, so probably
That
not a
would
lot of
explain
money
a
in
lot.
that family.
Yeah, big
And
family.
I
Because when
keep,
she's
like-
talking to Wolfwood, she mentions she's the youngest
that,
of
the
10.
youngest sister. Yeah.
On the topic of Wolfwood, can we get to him now, please?
All right, we'll talk about Wolfwood, even though he's only in 3 of our
3 of the
episodes.
He's only in 3
yeah.
episodes, but listen, he made an impression, okay?
Oh, he steals the show. I'm
He
sorry.
really
made
does, yeah.
an impression. So Wolfwood is a traveling priest, which is kind of bizarre considering the circumstances.
Yeah,
Well,
you
and
know.
I love the fact he makes a comment several times. Oh, I have to remember my job as a priest now. Oh, this is my job. This is my this. I don't think he actually has any kind of calling.
Yeah,
No.
it's dubious if he's
I
even
mean,
a priest at this
It's
point.
dubious if
Yeah.
he even believes in
He's
God.
he's
Yeah.
carrying around a giant cross
That's full of
Some
guns. We find
It's a
out.
giant-
Yeah, we-
Now, I will say
Giant-
my favorite part of Wolfwood, though, when he's trying to act priestly, is when he pulls out his little portable confession.
Yes.
And it's like this little church building that he pops on
building.
somebody's
It's
like a-
head.
it's like
and there's a coin slot where they're supposed to put money in so they can confess to him. And I'm like, you really don't get the idea of being a
it's
priest,
like a
do
little
you?
cardboard model of a church.
And it's so funny because he just randomly pops it on people's head and was like, so you want to do confession?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
hilarious.
he's
He's got some of the best one-liners.
yeah,
so
he
far.
does. He does.
and
Well-
he is also the first to point out that a lot of Vash's smiles are pretty empty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
knows-
sees through Vash's mask.
He does immediately. Yeah, he recognizes.
He acts
them.
pretty goofy, like most of the characters in this show do upon you first meeting them, but you immediately realize he is not what he says at all.
Yeah.
No, Wolfwood. The one thing though he is serious about is he says he's out raising money for an orphanage, and that he is dead serious about. Because anytime any kind of kid is in trouble,
Mhm.
he is right there, and he's like, nope,
Yeah.
He just
Nope.
drops
Steps in.
everything.
drops
all right.
everything, and he's going to help them. So I believe that part of his story.
Mhm.
The part that he's actually really a priest.
Yeah.
I'm not too
Oh,
sure on.
I don't know
yeah.
if priests are allowed to use guns,
Right.
and I don't know if they're allowed
I don't
to
know
shoot
if
people.
priests are allowed to like gamble on chess games in a saloon.
I don't know if they're allowed to shoot people.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I think in it. So this is branching out past our 13 episodes, but I am pretty sure we never meet anybody else like from a church in the entire series, do we?
We do,
We do.
but they're also
Okay.
dubious. They're
Okay.
also
Okay,
dubious
a
at
little,
best.
I'm gonna say
yeah.
okay,
A little more so than Wolfwood.
but yeah, Wolfwood. He has a fantastic entrance. The bus driver, I think, gets the best line in that part. He came well prepared to die because he's just looking there half dead in the
Right,
desert with
just
his giant cross
this
behind
cross,
him.
he's
With
ready.
a giant cross on his
And I was
back.
like, bus driver, dude, you just got the best line of the episode. And you don't even have a name.
But yeah, and Wolfwood's interactions with the main 3 characters are really cool too. Like we said,
He
he-
loves Millie.
he's
He
de-
really likes her.
you can really see a spark with Millie right away, and
Yeah.
with Vash too. They kind of recognize they're kind of like kindred spirits
Mhm.
almost.
but they
Yeah.
also act like school children a lot
Yeah,
of the time
they
too.
do.
They
Like,
argue, they fight.
they're total boys sometimes. Yeah.
Well,
They're
I think
babies.
I wonder in some ways that's because Vash and Wolfwood acknowledge that they're both equally as good.
Mhm.
So Vash is like, I don't have to be careful with him.
Yeah.
So
They could just be stupid.
we can be
We can
stupid
just goof
together.
We
off
can be
together.
stupid. We can be stupid together.
We can be bros.
Isn't that what true friendship is? You can just be stupid together.
Well, I like the fact that the first episode of Wolfwood, when they have to go into the abandoned spaceship and shoot off all the monsters and stuff, Wolfwood pretends that he has no idea how to use a gun.
Yeah.
And then he shoots perfectly.
And then he has a cross full of.
and Vash is just like, that is precision shooting.
Yeah,
as
he's
he's
like, wait a
running
minute.
around and Wolfwood is shooting all
He's
the
running
robots.
and
He's hitting
shooting,
every
yeah.
single robot in the
In the
exact
head.
spot, and
Yeah.
he needed to kill
Yeah, he's
it.
like,
Yeah.
no.
And he's
So-
like, "You're bad with guns." I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Animation wise, what do you mentioned that you thought some of the parts got a little bit lazier in their animation. What were you thinking of at that point?
It's like there are times where like they do reuse like certain shots.
Mhm.
Like there will be a shot
That's
of a
actually
character
fairly-
talking.
That's fairly common in anime because they do actually. it's not until you start watching really closely, but you'll realize they do a lot of shortcuts in anime, particularly in older ones, because it is all hand drawn and they're trying to get an episode out every week.
Yeah,
but like
them out.
they do it a lot more in like as you get more into it, kind of. But only really, like you said, only in episodes where it's not super important.
Right.
Like they'll reuse a talking sprite, or they'll have a person do a walk cycle, but they're moving slower than they're walking, or they'll just have an action scene where it's just the characters moving across the screen as a still image with like some effects around it. It's just pretty simple stuff, and then it just like completely changes in the next episode where all the characters are like moving buttery smooth in every frame.
Kind of the more intense it gets, the better the
So they're doing
gets.
selectiveness on their, like, what they're going to concentrate.
If it's just like a
animation
simple
on.
dialogue scene where it's just Vash hanging out, they're going to save money. But if it's like a shootout scene where we need to really see the action.
Or if it's
Like,
a very
they'll spend a little
specific
more.
Vash being stupid scene where he gets all noodly for no reason.
Which happens
Yes,
often.
which
Yeah.
is, they didn't need to go
I
that
don't
hard.
think Vash doesn't have any bones at certain points in this series. Yeah, I keep mentioning the dancing scene, but I'm sorry, that was a terrible dance.
Yeah, Vash, just everything about him is so...
Did he have any? Is he really that stupid?
Is he pretending?
The 13th episode where it's the recap, Meryl seems to really think, like, wait a minute, I don't think he was really quite as goofy as we thought. Like, thinking back to some of those moments, she's like, I think he was just doing that to throw off the bandits and the villains,
if that is
catch them off guard. You know?
and if that is true, then it works pretty well.
it works great.
It does. It works great.
Yeah.
It's like, it's this idiot.
Well, because
look
he's
at this
trying to resolve
goofball,
everything.
yeah.
Because that's the one thing with Vash the Stampede that's a big part of his character is he won't actually kill anybody. He's known for destroying an entire city, but they mention nobody died.
And through 13 episodes, he's never actually shot at a person to harm them. He disarmed people.
He has disarmed. He's
shot
wounded
missiles,
a few times.
yeah,
he's
but
wounded.
never-
He's like redirected like punches and stuff.
Yeah,
like with
but
the
never shot to kill. Not once.
Yeah.
like the 2 episodes. I think that there's 3 episodes where he gets major serious in his like, and he still doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
It's one during the Bad Lads fight.
Yes.
Where they
Yes.
hijack like a sand steamer, they call
Well,
it.
and his duel there is pretty cool.
It is
I-
cool. It
So
is really
the
cool.
Bad Lads, I found their leader kind of fascinating because he goes ahead and he's the one who sets it up that they're going to drive this steamer train directly into a canyon side or something.
Right off. yeah.
Because they want to break open the safe and they're willing to kill every single passenger and every single employee on the train. He even shoots one of the employees when they refuse to, make the steamer run at top speed. And yet when Vash wins his duel, without killing him or even harming him, he goes ahead and he sacrifices his own vehicle to stop the steamer from crashing.
So like,
It's like this weird sense of outlaw honor he has, and he didn't do it to save anybody's lives.
No.
He did it purely because he wanted to honor the duel with Vash. And He
Yeah.
was so impressed by Vash the Stampede's shooting power.
His
his outfit's
skill, yeah.
atrocious, by the way.
His outfit is atrocious. He's got
But,
some
like,
kind of weird capacitor things on his
I
shoulders.
think those are
and it
like
just looks-
guns or something. I don't know.
I think he charges his gun with him. I think his gun is actually like a what is it called? A rail gun,
It's like a railgun.
Yeah.
which uses electricity to
Electricity
shoot
yeah.
off bullets really
Like
fast.
magnetism.
But like the thing
kinda.
with
Yeah.
the Bad Lads fight is there are times where it gets really, really serious. Like there's a scene where Vash is like he like shoots 3 of the henchmen dudes and he immediately goes like, oh, are they okay? Did I kill them?
because they ambushed him and he reacted on instinct and he accidentally actually shot them and he like has a panic attack.
And then when you look closer at him, you notice he is bleeding from multiple places. Like the kid that he gets stuck with, because there's a little kid who snuck up on the thing to like infiltrate it and stuff.
Yeah.
And he ends up helping Vash because he didn't realize it was going to get so bad. But he notices that Vash is literally pushing through like multiple bullet wounds that are very
Yeah.
obviously
Severe.
bleeding.
But
through.
Vash fights to duel in that stage, and I think that's what really impresses the Bad Lads leader.
Like, I think he even makes Meryl and Millie think he died for a minute because he just collapses after the duel and he's just blood
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the themes of the first half is we're seeing his commitment to pacifism be more and more tested. Like when it's just a couple of bandits in the bar, he doesn't really have much issue.
Yeah.
But by the time of the 12th episode, where that assassin wipes out the town and kills
A
multiple
lot of
civilians,
people.
Vash has his gun to his head and is ready to break his commitment, to pacifism.
Yeah.
He's tempted, but
And then he has a memory of some mysterious woman.
Yeah, who we don't know much
don't
about.
really
Who
know much
sings
about.
a very catchy song that I like a lot. The song
Yes.
is very nice.
Yes, it is a very catchy song.
And then I think, is it episode 13 where it's revealed? Like when Vash's thing is revealed.
No.
Like his scars.
His
Oh,
scars, yes.
So episode
He has
30
multiple things, but he has scars.
Yeah, he's got a lot of things. Sorry,
Yeah.
you have to be a little bit more.
I'm sorry, I didn't know how to say it without spoiling it.
Yeah, episode 13, I started watching it and I was like, can I just skip this? Because it's just Meryl sitting there at a typewriter pretty much recapping the last
but
few
there's
episodes.
some bookends kind of that.
But,
yeah.
well, and there's also the fun spot where Meryl is like having a conniption fit and tears the paper
she just
out.
tears the paper
rolls
up and
into a ball,
crumbles.
throws it over her shoulder, and Millie like lunges
Oh,
out
yeah.
with the trash
She's
can
like,
on the floor
"Got
and
it."
got it.
I love those two.
Yes,
Okay.
I-
Yeah,
their
so
relationship.
there were some fun moments with them in that. But at the very end, they go to see Vash, and he has his coat off, and that is a shocker.
It's hideous scars. There's even some
There's like a
plating.
metal
There's like
plate
metal
over-
bars.
His arm is almost completely metal, right? One
Yeah,
of
Yeah,
his
he
arms.
one of his
arms
one of his
is-
arms
is
isn't actually
entirely
real.
mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like covered in like metallic
Yeah,
stitches.
there's metallic
and
stuff.
There's
It
like
looks like
gashes.
and it looks like part of his shoulder is like riveted together.
Yeah.
There's like
yeah,
nails
he's-
and stuff
yeah,
in
he's
him.
pieced
Yeah.
together
Staples.
almost.
He
Yeah,
he
it's-
looks like he was rebuilt from the ground up pretty much.
It's pretty gnarly.
It's
Yeah.
it's awful.
Yeah.
And then he gets all embarrassed about it and he gets all goofy
Yeah, and then
for
he-
a minute.
Yeah.
But like this
And
that
it-
split second.
I will say my least favorite Vash goofy moments, and this is related to the scars because he says something about, no woman would ever love this body or whatever. But I hate it when he gets the puppy dog eyes around any pretty woman. And he
is
starts
such a
doing the
sap.
shoujo sparkles.
Least favorite anime trope. I'm saying I hate it when characters do this.
And
It's so dumb.
It even happens at the end of the 13th episode. We see his scars, and you're like, "Oh man, that's so intense."
Yeah,
and then he
and
sees
then-
a girl, like
and he
5
sees
minutes
sees a
later,
pretty
and goes,
girl and he's got his
"Gaga
coat on
eyes,"
and
yeah.
he just goes
God.
and
It's like,
it is
come on.
that is
Yeah.
such a 90s thing.
It is.
That
Yeah.
is such a 90s
That's
trope.
very
This is
90s
why I
anime.
can't watch a lot of romance shows, man. This is why it's so hard to
Goo
find
goo
a romance
eyes,
that I
yeah.
will tolerate because
Yeah.
there will be a character who does goo goo eyes, and I'm like,
Oh, I forgot. What were we talking about?
Vash's the toll all of Vash's pacifism is
Yeah.
taking on him.
It's fascinating because this is a world where pacifism is not a thing.
No, it's
Like
frowned
not
upon,
even
yeah,
the
and
supposed priest
dangerous.
Wolfwood
He tells
is
him
a
off
pacifist.
for not shooting
tells him
some-
off for not shooting them.
Yeah, and the Millie and Meryl, like because of his commitment to that, don't believe for basically half of what we've watched that he's actually Vash. Because they're convinced Vash could not be this pacifist.
Because he never kills anybody.
Yeah.
He never does anything. And then they
Yeah.
witness like an entire town get destroyed by the townspeople trying to
trying to
kill
kill
him.
him, and they're like,
Wait a minute. Okay.
And
Yeah.
another thing is though, the thing with Vash's pacifism is after the steamer episodes, I think it's before that actually. Before the steamer episodes, he meets a woman who tries to have him assassinated because she lived in the town that he destroyed, and nobody died, but because they had no home and no land and,
no
property,
power.
no power,
No
they
water.
just turned on each other, and they all ended up just killing themselves. And she could never forgive him for that, so she tried to get her revenge.
Yeah.
And then he
But-
revealed he had no memory of the event.
Yeah, that was the really funny thing is because that was the moment where the show I think started planting its very serious roots. Because that's the moment where you see Vash wandering this desolate city in this ragged cloak and he sees the girl and he reaches out to protect her and stuff. And then he looks at and then in the future that we're looking at the present, he's very like, I don't remember what happened. I have no idea.
So we know
So
incident
something happened,
Yeah.
but he doesn't even know if he destroyed the city.
The thing about this show is like it lures you in with the funny,
But
goofy,
Yeah.
that episode is all the beginning is he's just going goo goo eyed over this lady,
Yeah.
and then she tries to have him killed, and then it gets
And then
really
it's like,
serious.
whoa.
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
suddenly
wait a
very
minute.
serious. Though about Vash's memory is that as you go, he says he doesn't remember anything before that point where he destroyed the city. But as you go, he's remembering more and more
He's getting
because he
glimpses,
obviously
yeah.
starts remembering Rem because he has actual memories of her, which causes him not to kill the one assassin.
Yes,
Yeah.
And then he also remembers
He remembers
when he gets that really serious look in his eyes and he says he needs to find someone.
he needs to find him.
Find him. So he obviously remembers something. Maybe not all, but
And-
he remembers something.
And that one episode where they go in the spaceship, he's like strangely comfortable using the
Yeah,
computers.
he knows- well,
he knows exactly what to do.
and
yeah.
then when he gives the kid in the steamer is directing him, he has an earbud and the kid has a little microphone that looks like a pen to talk to him, and he goes, "You have this lost technology." So Vash has access to lost technology and knows how to
knows
use it.
a lot more than anything before this was like letting on. He
Yeah.
knows things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is an interesting guy.
And that's kind of what kept me, because I have to admit, when I first started watching it, I do remember being a little put off about the goofiness.
Yeah.
A little bit like this severe disconnect of what am I watching, because
This
it's
is
such
really
a
stupid.
serious setting with such a stupid character.
Right. It's hard to
Our main
reconcile.
character is a bumbling idiot, and what could possibly be one of the coolest.
Who then
settings.
crosses his
Right.
fingers and yells love and peace at people after
Right,
he defeats.
randomly.
After he gets an entire epic drama anime main character moment, he goes love and peace
Over and over.
and then Meryl looks like she wants to shoot herself. I'm
Which
pretty
is
sure.
about the way the viewer feels.
Wait, I'm
I
pretty
think.
sure she like throws her. She has like a microphone that she used to yell at like the mayor. I'm pretty sure
the
she
bullhorn.
throws it at the boom mic. What's it called?
Bullhorn.
Bullhorn. She was using a bullhorn earlier to yell at the mayor of the town that the whole fight was taking place, and I'm pretty sure at the end of it, as it's panning away, you can hear her throw the bullhorn at him.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Meryl is trying so hard.
Meryl is very much almost like the audience surrogate, where like
Yes.
she's reacting to him like we're reacting. She's like,
Well,
how
and that's I actually kind of enjoyed her recap, because even though she recapped some moments she was not part of and
Mm-hmm.
should not have known about, she still gave a very good wrap up of how the audience is viewing Vash
Yes,
up to this
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting, because it wasn't an all-knowing recap. It was a recap of, this is the guy we have met.
We've
This is
seen,
how he
yeah.
behaves, and this is different.
Yes, there's something going on.
There's something
here.
going on.
Yeah.
Another minor Meryl moment that I thought was hilarious is when Vash is being like hired to protect this person. I think it's episode like 3 or so. It was episode 2 or 3. It's one of those where he's being hired to protect this rich person,
Oh,
but like
the rich guy.
Oh,
yes,
that was
who ends up being the
2?
villain.
Yeah.
It's
I think
2 or
that-
3.
it's a
early.
simple
Well,
episode.
3 was the drunk
Okay, it might
gunman
be.
So it's
Smith.
2 then.
So it
It's
was
2.
2.
It's 2.
On, yeah.
So then he does this really dumb, like dramatic, like main character one line about how I never miss my shot, and then Meryl just passes out because she just cannot handle
It's
it.
so
Handle it.
corny. She just passes
And
out.
then there's
She
like
has
a
heart palpitations, pretty much.
And then there's a little tiny background moment where he does this like pointer thing with his fingers, and then Meryl passes out and he's like, "Wait, did I shoot her?" Like he looks at his fingers.
well,
like,
and the
"Huh?"
best part is during her recap in episode 13 of that moment, she passes out again because it's like it's so corny.
Yeah.
And another
it's-
thing, the finger that he used to make the pointing gesture was his mechanical arm.
Oh, that's true. It was.
So
I didn't think of
he
that.
could have had
There
a
is-
genuine
there is
moment
a
where
gun.
he's like, "Did I shoot her?"
Right? Yeah, because it does have
Silly.
something hidden.
That's
in
It's like
there.
a little
true.
tiny hint.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought Meryl is amazing.
Meryl's
okay,
so
she's
her recap was very funny.
I think the first 13 episodes do a very good job of introducing you to the character and drawing you into the world at just the right
Yes.
speed.
like it
Because
makes you.
to be honest, by episode 3, you start seeing a little bit more of the serious side, and then you hit episode 4, which is the one where he is in the plant and he keeps it from going nuclear, and that's when you go, there is something off
yes,
about
he has
this
some
guy,
kind of power that.
because he actually
Yeah.
talks to the plant like it's a person,
Mhm.
and this was a funny moment. I didn't notice this the first time I watched it because I hadn't watched a lot of anime. But the plant that's dead and broken, and by plant I mean power plants, that
plants,
looks like a
yes.
giant light
The
bulb.
light bulb. Yeah.
He's up in like the gantry and stuff up there, and he's talking to it, and he says, "You've done a really good work, but you need to rest now." So he's acknowledging it's broken, and he talks to these plants like persons. He always has.
He's like the one with all the robots where he and Wolfwood were fighting. He was like, "There's nothing left to protect."
Yeah, he always talks to them in a very nice way, which
Yeah.
I like that. But he pours out a bottle of wild turkey, which is, I think, whiskey.
Whiskey, probably.
Yeah, he pours out a bottle of whiskey over the plant. And the thought that came to my mind was all those samurai movies where they pour a bottle of sake over the gravestones.
Yeah, pour one
as,
out
as,
for a
as an
fallen
honor.
comrade,
So, and I
yeah.
was like, so in some ways, he's kind of like
He's
mourning a
them.
relative.
Yep,
Why is
yep.
he giving funeral rites to a power plant?
I wonder.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
To be continued.
But as I said, when I first watched this, I had not watched a lot of anime or Japanese movies or anything like that, so I didn't really catch that very much until this time, and I was like, oh, because I think my first thought when I first watched it was he was pouring like water for it
Yeah,
or
but
something
now
like
you're
that.
like, all
but
right,
I
he's
was like,
pouring
no,
one
he's
out
pouring
for-
out
yeah.
whiskey, and it looks
Yep.
more like he's mourning the death of somebody.
Mhm.
And
But-
like it gets all dramatic, like immediate 5:30 afternoon lighting with like sparkly effects on the whiskey.
And
And
Yeah.
he's like, and his
it's a really great scene,
and
actually.
like there's like a thing where he does whenever it gets serious. Vash is like, I love how when they get serious, it goes from like goofy '90s cartoon style to like just dead serious.
And he's
like,
very detailed. The
Detailed,
up-close-
sparkly eyes,
yeah,
tiny
the
mouth.
Okay,
up-close-
my
yeah.
favorite scary Vash moment is when Meryl and Millie peek into the jail and he's sitting there and you just see him in shadow, but you have these hard gold, like blue glittering
Yeah,
eyes.
right.
Like they look like
And
almost like headlights.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay.
Like you
Yeah.
see that, and then you see that, and it cuts to Millie, and she jumps back, and then you cut back to him, and he looks normal.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
what
It's just a
was that?
glimpse
You
of
just, but it's
what's
just a
underneath.
glimpse
Yeah.
of that, which
Yeah.
I thought that was really
And
cool.
then you see it again during the actual fight with Diablo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bounty hunter.
when
yeah,
Vash
which
loses his temper.
he
Pretty
really
much.
goes.
Loses
yeah,
his temper
to his
because
extreme.
dude just murdered like 50
Yeah, a
people.
The
gazillion
whole
people.
town, yeah.
For no good reason.
For no
Yeah.
good reason other than
Yeah,
just to get to him.
Just to get to Vash.
And Vash goes nuts.
All right, so we are going to be talking a lot more about Vash the Stampede and Wolfwood.
There is a
Meryl,
lot to
and-
talk
yeah,
about.
there is a lot.
Yes.
The second half, man.
For a
Yeah.
26 episode show, there is a lot
There
to talk
really
about.
is. Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a lot more philosophically to talk about when we get to the second season.
Oh,
part,
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
so much more happens.
Oh yeah.
Which is why I thought it deserved another episode.
and it is starting like the first maybe like 4 or 5 episodes are almost like, episode of the week, like
Yeah.
adventures, and then
I
you
thi-
start getting some 2-episode arcs.
Episode 1 through 4 are standalones.
And then you get
5 and 6
5
are
and
the
6,
steamer.
7 and 8 are the
One
the
town.
neon, yeah,
The ne-
right.
No,
No.
5, 6. Okay, 1 through 4 are standalones.
Yeah, 5 and
6 are
is
the
town.
steamer with Bad Lads.
Yes.
The Bad
Neon
Lads, and then
guy.
after
That,
it's in what?
They wind up on the bus.
Oh yeah, the bus with
The bus,
Wolfwood.
because
Okay,
they got
yeah.
off the steamer, wound up on the bus, meet Wolfwood, and then they wind up in the caravan where they
Yes.
have the couple, the
The
Romeo
couple,
and
the
Juliet
runaway
couple,
The two kids.
yes,
the
yeah.
Romeo and Juliet couple that don't actually die.
That
where
don't
they
actually die.
where they make
make
everyone think that
Everyone
they just
think
that
that
Oh
Vash
Vash
man,
is
shot.
Vash was scary on that one.
I think
He
he
was
says,
com-
he
I
says,
thought
what,
for a moment-
5 words the whole episode.
Yeah,
He's
and what two
completely-
of those are kill order.
Kill order. Yeah,
So I was
he's
just like, oh my gosh.
He's
Yeah.
like he's completely emotionless the entire time.
Well, because at that point, I think you're not quite 100% sure how dedicated he is to the pacifism thing. Like, is
Yeah.
there a point where he will accept enough money to do
If he
this?
needs-
it's a really
yeah.
good kind of like is red herring a good word for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it,
Yeah.
it makes you think that he really isn't that super. Like, how far is he willing to go with this?
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until the very, very end.
And
Yeah.
the harshness of the world does make you think maybe he'd be so desperate,
Well,
in this
or
harsh
maybe
desert world for
because
money,
they were
you know?
talking about how this kid isn't with the caravan can't go into the city. If
Mhm.
the caravan can't go into the city, all these people don't have a home, don't
yeah,
have money,
Wolfwood
don't have
tries
this.
to tell the kid.
Yeah, because Wolfwood is explaining if you don't do this, everybody might die
People will
because
suffer,
they will
yeah.
starve to death, literally. So I thought maybe if the leader of the caravan made that whole argument to Vash, would Vash be willing to kill 2 people to save all these?
Yeah.
So you had to kind of wonder about that a little
Mhm.
bit.
Yeah,
And this
the
is
cost.
the same episode where Wolfwood and Millie pretend to be married to sneak
And
one
pregnant.
of the kids out. And he's like,
Right. Oh,
my
yeah.
honey.
They put her they put her under the belly and she's walking around.
Wolfwood-
Are you expecting sextuplets?
Yes, the woman walks.
And then Wolfwood's like, yes, my honey. It's just
Again, it can be
Yes.
so
So
grim
goofy.
and,
and
so
then
goofy.
and then Millie takes out like 15 armed dudes with her giant Gatling gun
Right.
because they stepped on her pudding, and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, her pudding cup.
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
Yeah,
pudding cup.
don't mess up her pudding cup.
and then Wolfwood says like, you're the youngest of your siblings, aren't you?
And that's where we find out she's the youngest of 10.
Yes, yeah, which
Yes.
explains a lot.
Yes.
And after that episode with the Romeo and Juliet thing, it goes to the shooting contest.
Yes, which
I
that
think
is
so, yeah.
that one was kind of timid because Wolfwood signs up Vash for it, and then
Vash, yeah.
Vash turns around and signs Wolfwood up for it.
Yeah.
And then they have
Yeah.
this oddly serious duel.
Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
very
like, huh?
serious.
Yeah.
And if for a minute you think they actually shot each other, but then they do a bait and switch and they go after all the other guys and they take the prize money, and it's for a second you're like wondering, is Wolfwood, does he have a nefarious purpose to all this?
Because at that point you're still not sure who this guy is.
Yeah.
What his deal is. So.
It was. I love this series. I love the
It's
characters.
fun.
So weird thoughts I had while watching it. Some of the crazy villains, particularly the Nebraska brothers.
Oh God.
I had One Punch Man thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I was
That.
like, I am sure the guy who wrote One Punch has seen Trigun.
Yeah,
I am absolutely 100%.
Suspiciously giant mutant
Suspiciously
person and
giant
tiny little
little
dude,
dude.
And
tiny
a
little
small-
scientist guy.
A small guy, yeah.
I will say the
Um,
only two characters in this entire show that you actually have a pretty good grasp on their personalities are Meryl and Millie.
Meryl, for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
Because everyone
they're
else,
right out there.
everyone else, you don't know what their deal is.
And they're kind of in the center of every episode. They're almost like in Star Wars, like C-3PO and R2-D2 are always
they're,
there.
They're the commentary
yeah,
of the series.
everything kind of swirls around
They're the
them,
people you
but
follow most
yeah,
of the time.
you follow
Yeah.
them.
How do you guys feel about the music of the series?
Oh, okay. Two things. I like it a lot, but when you're watching this show really late at night, it can sound like someone is eating a guitar
The
string.
commercial breaks, especially.
The commercial
yeah.
breaks are so jarring.
It's like, it's like, whoa.
And it's like not just like a guitar, it's like someone going like with a guitar pick. It's like they're trying to draw a picture using the guitar pick on the guitar strings.
But
It's like
Yeah.
for the most part, it's very 90s anime. A lot of rock, a lot of electric guitar.
Definitely.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
opening is very electric
Yeah,
guitar.
no, no, no.
I love
It's a
the
very,
ending.
Very you will hear that opening song and you will know it's Trigun.
Yes,
like within
absolutely.
like two seconds.
I
Yeah.
love the ending song though a lot.
The ending song is very old school feeling.
It's rock, but like it's like a chill. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of more
Yeah.
relaxed,
It's
like a
not as
lazy kind. It's like a
intense.
lazy
Yeah.
kind of rock. Like
So-
gives me kind of like a. Okay, that's not a good comparison because their music is all over the place. But King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
I don't think I've ever
I've
listened
heard
to
of
them.
them.
I've
It's
heard
a
of
band-
them
it's a
because I
band-
love their name, but I've never actually listened
It's
to
a
their
band
music.
my dad likes, and they do a lot of rock stuff, but it's like lazy. Like
Okay,
they
not-
call it
not-
they call it like psychedelic
Okay.
rock.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. a
Okay,
little
I
more
can see
chill,
that.
It's
yeah.
like harsh sounds, but the beat itself is like slow.
pretty melodic and
That's what it
slow.
reminds me of a lot. It also reminds
Okay.
me of like something you'd hear in like a Clint Eastwood movie or something.
Mhm, Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's harsh, but it's relaxed.
Mhm.
Yeah, the opening doesn't really have a song to it. It's just more like gunshot noises
Yeah.
and rock
yeah.
guitar.
and imagery.
And
yeah.
also that
Keith, do you have any last comment?
I am very excited to watch the second half. I'm more excited than I thought I would be. You know, I was liking it 4 or 5 episodes in, but I would say episodes like 8 through 12. 13 is kind of more
It's
of a recap.
it's a recap.
But
It's
8
a
through
recap,
12
but it's got its
really
moments.
hooked me even more. So I'm definitely excited.
so
yeah.
looking forward to more.
I can't wait to see what you guys think of the last half.
I'm excited.
All right.
The last
and-
half emotionally damaged me.
Oh gosh.
so Zoe, any last thoughts about Trigun we've watched so far?
It's really good. I'm surprised I haven't heard of this show sooner. Like I did. I poked at it
It
for a
was
little
It
bit.
was
It was
huge
big
for a lot
like
of
20
years.
years
And
ago,
then
yeah.
I think in some ways, I think things like Attack on Titan and other things have managed to boot it off of that.
And-
Which came first, Cowboy Bebop or Trigun?
I think in Japan they were about the same time.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think-
1998, 99. I think
Okay.
they both
Yeah,
aired.
they were
like,
both very
I-
close.
I always had the feeling that it came first, and then Cowboy Bebop completely overshadowed it. Or
That's-
something.
I
that
keep-
that could have happened.
I keep
yeah.
thinking Cowboy Bebop is newer than it is. So, but here, let me look it up real quick. We're gonna go. Google is my friend.
Cowboy Bebop, I think, came to the States, I want to say 2000, 2001.
Because this show gives me a lot of Cowboy Bebop vibes,
Yeah.
especially with Wolfwood's character design.
Yeah, he
So,
looks kinda
fun
spiked.
fact-
He looks a
Ish.
lot. He has the
Yeah.
exact same
Fun
like
fact,
pose as
Yeah,
Spike.
and
Cowboy
collar.
Bebop originally aired in Japan at the exact same time as Trigun.
There you
The
go.
exact same
1998.
time, okay.
1998.
That makes
So-
sense. It's really similar.
They did, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely similar.
And like I did poke at like the first like 2 or 3 episodes, but I was obviously put off by the humor and the goofiness.
Mhm.
And then this is the first time I've picked it back up for real.
That was
Yeah.
me back when I watched it, back when it first came out.
I
was
watched
put
it
off
back
as
when I was
well,
in like
yeah.
middle school.
That's what I'd recommend to anyone jumping into this for the first time.
Yeah.
Is like give it 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah,
just
don't
watch the first
just
two.
don't just
Yeah.
give it the first 3 like you
Yeah.
normally would. You really
Give it
need to
some
give
time.
it 4
Because
or
the first
5.
3 are like episodic, like Naruto or
Yeah.
Pokemon
Yeah.
type stuff.
It's when you hit episode 4, I think you start seeing some of that behind the
And then it
scenes.
just
you start
grows and
seeing
grows, yeah.
seeing past the goofy.
All right, so
Yeah.
my last comment about Trigun is Kuroneko, the little black cat,
Yes.
because that
Keep an eye
cat
out
is
for him.
awesome. He is awesome.
It's
Keep an
just
eye
a
out for
I
him.
will try to spot
There's
him
like
in
an
the second
entire
half.
fight scene that happens through this old lady's room, and she and the cat are, and the cat's just sitting there on her lap. There's one scene where you see the cat just go flying across the room, being thrown with a whole bunch of stuff, and you're like, did somebody actually throw the cat as a weapon? You don't know. There's scenes where you just, they're just panning across the city, and all of a sudden there's just meow, and there's the cat sitting up on a roof.
Or there's a scene where Vash is being sad and the cat just scratches him and then runs
Yeah,
away
and runs
like,
away. There's a scene where Wolfwood is about to cheat at chess, and the cat stops him. I think that's the only time the cat actually affects plot, at least so far.
Oh no, the cat comes back in the second half.
Okay.
He does affect the plot.
Ooh, all right,
okay.
we'll
So
find out.
keep
but-
an eye
Not
out.
in a big way, but it
Yeah.
does bring one of my favorite Wolfwood one-liners.
So keep an eye out for a stupid little black cat that for some reason
just randomly
appears wherever Vashta
Wherever
Stampede
he
is.
goes.
random supporting black cat that looks nothing like the show around it.
I seem to remember they used to sell merchandise with that cat on it.
The cat contributes almost nothing, and there's
Nope.
already merchandise.
But everybody knows about that cat.
It's just the Pikachu, I guess.
Yep. Thank you all for joining us today and listening to us talk about Vashta Stampede and Trigun. And I hope you come back next month as we talk about the second half of it.
I am looking forward to that.
Yeah. If you have any thoughts or comments about what we've talked about so far, please send us an email in the email in the notes field. And if you have a friend you think might enjoy hearing us natter on about anime, go ahead and tell them about our podcast, because we are going to keep going on and on, no matter what.
We will stop when the universe ends.
We will stop when we run out of anime.
We will never run out of anime.
There's gonna be a point where we run out of all the good stuff, so we gotta go. We gotta
And
start
then-
sifting through the
gotta
isekai
take-
pile.
And then I will make you watch the Isekai cooking one, where nothing happens except cooking.
Oh. We're gonna sift through the 50 billion isekai and
Isekai,
webtoon
yeah.
adaptations.
All right. Well, and once again, thank you all for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, bye.